The air was thick with static as Alex whispered, "One more breach and I'm out." But the system roared back with alarms that shook his bones. His fingers flew across the keys, lines of code bleeding into chaos, until the screen flashed red with a warning that shouldn't exist. He said, "No, this was clean," but the truth slammed into him like a hammer. Someone had turned his own creation against him. Betrayal didn't come with a voice, it came with silence, with his identity burned into the logs as the traitor. A shout cracked through his headset, a voice he trusted screaming, "You set us up!" His heart pounded, not from fear but from rage as his reputation collapsed in real time. Alex tore the headset away, sweat streaking his face. His chest clenched as he whispered, "They know," realizing the world had just shifted and survival meant vanishing forever. Alex shoved the chair back, pacing across the cluttered floor as the screens blinked warnings that would never fade. He muttered, "They'll trace it back in minutes," every word tasting of panic. The apartment walls felt closer, like the city itself was closing its jaws. He tore open the blinds, neon from the streets cutting across his face. The digital life he built had collapsed in seconds, his name marked as criminal. His chest rose in jagged bursts as he whispered, "This is the end if I stay." The storm outside rattled glass panes, a mirror of the chaos in his chest. He pulled his hood tighter, face set in determination. Fear was there, but survival screamed louder, demanding he vanish before the knock on the door came. A voice message crackled through the abandoned laptop, venom dripping from every syllable. "You betrayed us," the distorted tone accused. Alex's pulse pounded as he muttered, "It wasn't me," but the words felt useless. Friends had turned to hunters, allies into threats. Every contact he trusted was now gone, shadows twisting into enemies. He slammed the lid shut, rage breaking through fear. "I won't be your scapegoat," he growled, but the silence that followed was heavier than any answer. The betrayal was complete. Miles away, the antagonist leaned back in a sleek office, his smile polished and cruel. He whispered to his aide, "He'll run, they always do," pouring himself a drink as the skyline glittered behind him. Power dripped from every gesture, charm masking venom. He raised his glass to the city below, saying, "By the time they find him, his name will already be ash." The betrayal was not a mistake. It was a calculated masterpiece, orchestrated with precision. Alex sat on the edge of his bed, hoodie pulled tight, a duffel bag half-packed beside him. His eyes burned from sleepless hours, but his mind raced faster. He whispered, "No one can find me," stuffing drives and scattered cash into the bag. The hum of the city beyond the window felt like a countdown. He looked once at the screens, now useless, before turning away. Survival demanded silence, anonymity, disappearance. He zipped the bag and muttered, "Alex is gone," as if burying himself alive. The headlines dropped like bombs before sunrise. Alex scrolled through feeds on a burner phone, each headline branding him as a traitor. Hacker turns on his own. Millions at risk. His breath quickened, and he whispered, "They believe it already." His handle was smeared across every article, his face plastered on screens he never authorized. Strangers' comments seared into him, calling him thief, monster, betrayer. He clenched the phone so hard the screen cracked. He muttered, "Martin played this perfectly," naming the man who had pulled the strings. The city outside was indifferent, neon glowing as if nothing had changed, but Alex felt stripped bare, hunted by shadows and cameras alike. The life he built had been inverted, every achievement twisted into evidence against him. His voice was a rasp as he said, "I don't exist anymore," yet the rage in his chest burned hotter than the shame. In a hidden forum deep in the darknet, Alex found a post that froze his blood. A rival hacker, once a ghost in the same underground, had posted, "He was always weak. I told you he'd burn out." Alex muttered, "Daniel, the foil whose life mirrored his own but twisted into greed and vanity." Daniel's words struck like knives, the betrayal public and venomous. The comments beneath grew like wildfire, each one erasing Alex's credibility, turning allies into doubters. He whispered, They'll never take my side now. The foil wasn't just mocking him, he was dismantling him, pixel by pixel, reputation by reputation. For years they had shared methods, traded secrets, mirrored each other's skills, but Daniel had chosen corruption, while Alex clung to a code. Now that choice was being mocked as weakness. He slammed the desk, snarling, "Then I'll show you what weakness can do." The authorities moved faster than Alex imagined. Patrol cars swept the streets outside his building, drones humming in the sky with scanners that glowed red in the rain. Alex pressed his back against the wall, whispering, "Too close, too fast." He watched from the window as officers barked orders, their radios alive with coded language he didn't need to translate. His face was already in their hands, the charges set in stone. Every step echoed louder than it should, the creak of the floorboards betraying him to his own nerves. His pulse refused to settle, his lungs barely keeping rhythm. He muttered, "They won't find me here," but the tremor in his voice betrayed the doubt. His safe house felt like a coffin, its walls closing in with the weight of scanners slicing through the night. He clutched his duffel bag tighter, every exit plan collapsing as fast as he could think them. Maya opened the door of her safe house before Alex could knock twice, her eyes sharp but full of unease. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, scanning the street behind him. Alex stepped inside, shoulders heavy. "You're the only one left," he said, voice cracking with exhaustion. Maya slammed the locks, her hands trembling. "Helping you puts me in the crosshairs," she snapped, though her eyes betrayed the loyalty she couldn't extinguish. Alex dropped his bag, leaning against the wall. "If I fall, the truth dies with me," he muttered. Silence filled the small room, heavy with fear and reluctant trust. She whispered, "You've turned survival into a war," and he didn't deny it. He just stared at the cracked floorboards, his jaw clenched as though already buried by the choices he had no time to regret. Alex crouched in a subway tunnel, the rumble of trains masking his ragged breaths. He whispered, "Underground is the only way left," the words trembling in the damp air. The graffiti-covered walls loomed like gravestones, each one a warning of lives lost in shadows. He tapped on his tablet, rerouting signals, masking his trail, burying himself deeper in the void. But his paranoia never eased. Every shadow was a hunter, every sound a threat. He muttered, "They're close," as his eyes darted across the tunnel. For a moment, he wondered if the fight for survival was already lost, if the betrayal had carved too deep. He tightened his grip on the tablet and whispered, "No, I vanish when I choose, not when they decide." His heart thundered, not with courage, but with defiance, the only weapon he still trusted. Alex slipped through the razor-wired fence of the server farm, his breath visible in the cold night air. Towers of humming machines loomed ahead, their blue lights pulsing like 1,000 unblinking eyes. He muttered, "Erase me from the inside," and his hands trembled as he pulled a stolen card from his pocket. The silence here wasn't empty, it was waiting, charged, like the world held its breath for him to fail. Each step echoed louder than it should, and he cursed the boots that betrayed him with sound. His code had been twisted, his handle marked, and the only way forward was to burn his identity from the records. "If I fall tonight," he whispered, "let it be on my terms." His reflection in the polished steel door looked fractured, a ghost of the man he once was, as he pressed forward into the belly of the machine. The shadows moved before Alex noticed them. A heavy hand clamped on his shoulder, spinning him into the glare of a flashlight. Victor said, "You thought you could vanish?" His towering figure blocked the exit, face hard as stone. Alex's pulse spiked, but his jaw tightened. "I'm not running from you," he snapped, even as his chest clenched with fear. Victor's smile was thin, brutal. "You've been marked for disposal. My orders are simple." Alex backed into the rows of servers, neon light painting his face in fractured shards. "Tell Martin I'll bury him in his own lies," he growled. Victor stepped forward, boots heavy on the steel floor, his voice like a blade. "You won't live long enough to try." The hum of the machines felt like a countdown, every second dragging Alex closer to violence he couldn't afford. Alex ducked into a maintenance room, his chest heaving, hands clawing at drawers until he found the files he never expected to exist. Old hard drives, labeled with his handle, forged logs, falsified data, evidence of crimes he had never committed. He whispered, "He planted everything here," his voice cracking. Rage boiled as he held one up to the light, his name etched into the data like a curse. "This is how he erased me," Alex muttered, stuffing them into his bag. The betrayal wasn't just public, it was manufactured, engineered. His hands trembled, not from fear but from the weight of proof. For the first time since it began, he had leverage, weapons hidden inside plastic and wires. He muttered, "Martin, I'll turn your lies into your coffin," as the servers hummed around him, complicit in both his destruction and his chance for revenge. Outside the safe house, Maya blocked Alex with fire in her eyes. "You're crossing a line you can't come back from," she hissed, gripping his arm. Alex pulled away, his face hollow with exhaustion. "That line was erased the moment they branded me," he said flatly. Her eyes burned with fear and anger. "You're becoming what you hate," she shot back. Alex's fists tightened around the bag of drives. "If that's what it takes to survive, so be it," he growled. Maya's chest heaved as her voice cracked. "I don't even recognize you anymore." For a heartbeat, silence drowned them both, the city lights flickering like distant stars. Alex whispered, "Maybe I don't either," before slipping past her. Her tears glistened in the dark, but she didn't stop him. Samuel sat in his workshop, the glow of old monitors casting shadows across his weathered face. He didn't look up when Alex dropped the bag of drives onto the table. "You think these will save you?" Samuel muttered, voice thick with regret. Alex leaned forward, jaw tight. "They're proof. I can bring him down." Samuel finally met his gaze, eyes heavy with sorrow. "Proof means nothing when the system wants you guilty." Alex slammed his fist onto the table. "Then I'll break the system too." Samuel sighed, his hand brushing over scars on his knuckles. "I've seen men burn the world chasing revenge. None of them walked out whole." Alex's stare didn't waver. "I am already broken," he whispered. Samuel's silence stretched, his expression grim, as he unlocked a drawer filled with old devices, tools that could save or damn him. Alex sat hunched over the drives in Maya's kitchen, files flickering open one by one, and every line of code screamed betrayal. Names he trusted appeared in contracts he never signed, his handle buried in digital trails pointing to crimes he didn't commit. He whispered, "Martin orchestrated it all," his voice trembling with rage. Each document was another nail in the coffin they'd built for him, and he couldn't stop turning pages, even though each one carved deeper. He slammed a fist against the table, muttering, "This isn't evidence, it's a weapon." His reflection in the blackened screen glared back like a stranger, more fury than man. His chest burned with the need to strike back, not to prove innocence, but to shatter the illusion Martin had spun. He growled, "If they want me to be the villain, I'll play it until the world sees his blood instead of mine." Alex slipped an anonymous file drop into the inbox of a journalist, his hands shaking as he pressed send. He muttered, "This will start the fire," though fear crawled under his skin. Outside, the city churned with indifference, but Alex knew this leak would ripple through networks like dynamite under glass. He pictured Martin's polished face cracking when the headlines shifted from his lies to his secrets. Yet Samuel's warning gnawed at him. Men like Martin didn't fall to truth, only destruction. Alex whispered, "Then let destruction be my gift," and walked away from the terminal. His chest throbbed with adrenaline, each step echoing like defiance carved into the night. Somewhere deep inside he knew the leak was reckless, but he was long past caring. The war had already started, and for the first time, Alex had thrown the first match. Maya's breath came in panicked bursts as she ran through alleys, footsteps of agents pounding close behind. Alex gritted his teeth as he pulled her inside a crumbling stairwell, whispering, "Stay quiet," while adrenaline surged through his veins. Maya gasped. "They almost had me," her voice cracking. Alex's jaw tightened as he said, "You helped me, now you're marked too." Fear shadowed her eyes, But determination hardened her stance. "I'd rather be hunted with you than safe without you," she said, trembling. Alex shook his head, guilt cutting deeper than the danger. "You don't deserve this," he whispered. But the words felt useless. The sirens wailed outside, every echo reminding them that survival had narrowed to inches. For Alex, the guilt of dragging her into his war was almost heavier than the rage against Martin, yet there was no turning back now. The safe house reeked of sweat and fear as Maya confronted Alex, her voice sharp enough to cut. "You think leaking files makes you a hero? You're dragging us all into your grave." Alex's fists clenched as he snapped, "Martin already buried me. I'm just clawing my way out." Her eyes burned with frustration. "No, you're feeding his game. You're letting him turn you into the monster he wants the world to see." Alex's chest rose hard, rage thrumming through every word. "If that's the only way to burn him down, then fine." Silence hung thick, their bond fraying like torn wire. Maya's eyes softened with sorrow, and she whispered, "You'll destroy yourself before you destroy him." Alex turned away, unable to meet her stare, because deep down he knew she wasn't wrong. Yet the fire inside refused to be extinguished. Samuel sat silently as Alex slammed the drives down, his breath ragged, fury spilling from every pore. "It's not enough," Alex growled, pacing the workshop floor. "I want him erased." Samuel's eyes, heavy with years, followed him quietly. Finally he said, "Every man who tried to fight fire with fire turned to ash. You're walking into the same grave." Alex turned, eyes blazing. "Then I'll be the ash that buries him." Samuel sighed, the sound thick with resignation, and unlocked a drawer of old devices. "These are not tools of justice," he said slowly. "They are tools of destruction." Alex leaned over, gripping the edge of the bench, his voice low and steady. "That's all I need." Samuel's silence was his answer, the weight of his grief settling heavy on his shoulders. The room was too quiet when Maya placed her trembling hands on the table. Alex frowned, sensing a fracture in the air. She whispered, "There's something you need to know," and the weight in her voice chilled him. His chest tightened as she admitted, "I gave Martin information, only once, but he threatened to kill me if I didn't." Alex's blood ran cold, his fists curling so hard his nails cut his palms. "You fed him my movements," he rasped, his voice breaking. Tears blurred her eyes as she cried, "I thought I was protecting you, but I made it worse." Alex staggered back, fury colliding with grief. "You were the last person I trusted," he whispered, the words sharper than a knife. Maya reached out, desperate, but he recoiled. In that moment, betrayal stung deeper than any of Martin's lies because it came from the one who swore she'd never leave him. In a glittering ballroom miles away, Martin raised a glass to the crowd, his suit pristine, his smile crafted. "Let's toast to control," he said, voice smooth as velvet. The audience clapped, oblivious to the venom underneath. From a shadowed balcony, Alex watched, chest heaving, fists pressed white against the railing. The man who destroyed him now basked in applause, the crowd blind to the corruption dressed as charm. Martin's words slithered through the air. "Enemies are nothing but fuel for ambition." Alex whispered, "Enjoy it while you can," though no one heard. His rage was a storm restrained only by distance. Each cheer was salt in his wounds, every toast another reminder of the empire built on his ruin. Alex's vision tunneled until all he saw was Martin's smirk, a mask of power that he swore to rip apart piece by piece. Samuel spread old files across the bench, his silence heavier than the machines humming behind him. Alex's eyes narrowed as he spotted a name buried deep in a contract. Samuel's. His breath froze. "You worked with him," Alex whispered, rage flickering into his voice. Samuel's face dropped, sorrow etched deep in his wrinkles. "Years ago," he admitted softly. "I thought I could keep him contained, but I helped build the cage he used to trap you." Alex's stomach twisted, betrayal piling higher. "You knew," he spat, pounding his fist against the table. "You knew what he was capable of, and you left me to burn." Samuel's eyes glistened with regret as he rasped, "I tried to stop him, but I failed. And now you carry the cost." Alex turned away, shoulders heaving. The mentor's betrayal a wound too raw to name. The glow of a rooftop screen lit Daniel's face as his message streamed into Alex's tablet. "You still don't get it," Daniel taunted, his smirk curling in the video feed. "We're the same. You just chose weakness while I embraced power." Alex's jaw tightened as he muttered, "I chose survival, not corruption." Daniel laughed coldly. "Survival? You're bleeding out in the dark while I'm untouchable. Join me, Alex. Stop pretending you're different." Alex's knuckles whitened as his voice rose. "I'll never become you." Daniel's eyes glinted with malice. "You already are. You just don't see it." The screen fizzled as the connection cut, but the echo of his words lingered like poison. Alex's chest burned with fury, but beneath it, doubt clawed, whispering that Daniel's mockery might carry a shard of truth he didn't want to face. Alone in the safe house, Alex pressed his forehead to the cold glass of the window. His reflection looked nothing like the man who once believed in truth. Maya's betrayal, Samuel's past, Daniel's taunts, Martin's smirk. They all collided in his chest like shards of glass. He whispered, "They've stripped everything," and his voice cracked. His hand clenched around the duffel bag filled with drives, the weight of his war pressing down. He muttered, "Then I'll burn it all down," his tone flat, drained of hope, but brimming with fury. The storm outside lit the city in flashes, painting his face in fractured light. For a moment he saw himself as the villain they claimed he was, and he didn't care. If the price of survival was becoming a monster, he was ready. The whisper turned to steel as he said, "Alex is dead. Only fire remains." Alex spread the drives, maps and devices across the floor like a battlefield. His eyes burned as he muttered, "Every lie, every betrayal, every scar. It ends tonight." His fingers flew as he armed traps, set false trails and reprogrammed tools Samuel had given him. The room pulsed with neon shadows carving his face into something feral. He whispered, "They'll never cage me again," though exhaustion clung to his body. The files glared up at him, Maya's betrayal, Samuel's past, Daniel's taunts, Martin's empire, all etched in cruel detail. Each page reminded him that survival wasn't enough. Revenge was the only currency left. He slammed his fist down, chest heaving. "If I burn, he burns with me," he growled, the words steady as iron. The silence that followed wasn't emptiness. It was the calm before war, the storm crouching just behind his breath. Samuel watched from the doorway, his face etched with regret. "You've drawn every line of battle, but you've forgotten what happens after," he said, his voice heavy. Alex didn't look up, his hands busy wiring devices. "There is no after," he replied coldly. Samuel's chest rose with a weary sigh. "I told you once, fire consumes more than its target. It leaves you hollow." Alex turned, his glare sharp enough to wound. "I've been hollow since the night he branded me." Samuel's jaw clenched as he rasped. "Then you've already lost, no matter how tonight ends." For a moment, silence pressed between them like a wall, two men separated by choices already made. Alex whispered, "Maybe loss is all I have left to give." Samuel lowered his gaze, shoulders slumping under the weight of a truth too heavy to change. Maya burst into the room, her eyes red, her voice cracking. "You're killing yourself, Alex," she cried, trembling hands reaching toward him. He froze, then shook his head. "I already did the night they called me traitor." She grabbed his arm, desperate. "You can still stop. Walk away before there's nothing left of you." His chest tightened, fury and sorrow colliding. "Stop? After everything he's done? After what you did?" His words stung, but her grip didn't falter. "Yes, I betrayed you," she whispered, tears streaming. "But I never stopped caring. Don't let him win by turning you into his reflection." Alex's jaw trembled, but his voice was steel. "It's too late. The reflection is all that's left." She broke into sobs, knowing her pleas were drowned by the storm already consuming him. The city flickered as networks collapsed, Martin's counterattack spreading like wildfire. Screens across towers flashed warnings, drones buzzed low, and chaos crackled through every signal. Alex stood on a rooftop, tablet glowing in his hands, his lips curling into a grimace. "So you want a war," he muttered, fingers racing as he unleashed his own strikes. Data surged, crashing firewalls, collapsing grids, sparking outages across the skyline. Martin's voice boomed through intercepted comms. "You can't erase me, Alex. You'll drown in the mess you made." Alex growled. "Not before you choke on it first." Sparks erupted from the tablet as systems overloaded, but he didn't flinch. The city was caught in their duel, digital lightning lashing flesh and blood streets. Alex's jaw clenched as he whispered, "Let's see who survives the blackout." The warehouse smelled of rust and rain when Victor appeared again, battered but still towering. He cracked his knuckles, his voice low and menacing. "Martin wants you erased permanently." Alex stood rigid, knuckles bloodied, eyes burning. "Tell him to finish it himself," he hissed. Victor smirked, stepping closer. "He doesn't need to. I'll end you here." Alex's body screamed exhaustion, but rage pushed him upright. Their fists collided like thunder, the sound echoing through the hollow space. Alex grunted in pain but struck harder, each blow fueled by betrayal, guilt, and vengeance. Victor snarled, "You're weaker than you think." Alex spat blood, glaring. "And you underestimate the strength of someone with nothing left." Their fight tore through the silence, two storms colliding in a night that promised only one survivor. The warehouse doors shuddered open with the storm behind them, and Martin walked in like a king, unbothered by ruin. His suit was perfect, his smirk polished, his eyes cold. "You've made a spectacle of yourself, Alex," he said smoothly, his voice slicing through the rain. Alex stood in the middle of the floor, bloodied and shaking, but his stance unbroken. "You buried me in lies," he growled. "Now I bury you in truth." Martin chuckled, tilting his head. "Truth is nothing but the story people choose to believe. Tonight, you're nothing but a cautionary tale." Alex's chest heaved, every muscle burning, but his glare never wavered. "I've got nothing left to lose," he said, "and that makes me dangerous." Lightning split the ceiling glass, illuminating them both like two predators circling in the dark, fated to destroy or be destroyed. Victor's body lay slumped against the wall, unconscious from their clash, but Martin barely spared him a glance. He smirked and said, "Even my shadow was too much for you. Look at yourself. Broken, bleeding, pathetic." Alex's fists curled as he stepped closer, chest trembling with fury. "Your shadow fell," he snapped. "And now you stand alone." Martin's smile faltered, only for a flicker, then returned sharper. "I built an empire while you hid behind screens. You think you can dismantle me with your scraps of evidence?" Alex spat blood, his voice ragged. "Not evidence exposure, and you'll choke on it." The storm rattled the rafters, the sound of rain pounding like war drums. For the first time, Martin's composure cracked, his eyes narrowing as Alex's words hit deeper than any fist. The clash was brutal, every strike fueled by years of lies and rage. Martin swung with the arrogance of a man who thought he could never fall, but Alex countered with the desperation of one who had nothing left. Fists cracked, blood sprayed, the floor echoed with violence that felt biblical. Alex roared, "This is for Maya," as his fist split Martin's lip. Another blow landed and he shouted, "This is for Samuel's silence." Martin stumbled, snarling, "You'll never escape me. You need me to blame." His voice was desperate, clawing for control, but Alex's fury was louder. "This is for me," he screamed, striking until Martin crashed to the concrete. The warehouse filled with the sound of his ragged breaths, the storm above a mirror of the storm inside. Victory had come, but it carried the taste of ashes. Silence followed, heavier than any blow. Alex stood over Martin, chest heaving, fists trembling, his victory hollow. He stared at the man who had destroyed him, waiting for satisfaction, but only emptiness answered. Maya's pleas echoed in his head. Samuel's warnings rang like bells. Daniel's mockery whispered from the shadows. He whispered, "I won, but there's nothing left to win." His hands shook as he dropped the drive onto Martin's chest, the evidence now worthless to him. The stormlight flickered across his face, showing not triumph, but a void that had replaced his soul. Martin groaned, but Alex didn't strike again. He simply turned away, whispering, "The man I was is already gone." The weight of it crushed him more than chains ever could. Victory had cost him his name, his trust, his humanity. All that remained was silence. Rain poured as Alex walked to the pier, every step dragging the weight of a man already buried. He stopped at the edge, staring at the black water, his reflection fractured in ripples. He whispered, "It's over," though the words were hollow. His hand opened, releasing the final page of Martin's forged files, the ink bleeding into nothing. The storm carved his face into something unrecognizable, no longer hacker, no longer underdog, just a shadow. He muttered, "Remember me, even if it's only as the ghost you created," and the words cut sharper than any blade. The city behind him flickered with blackouts, his war leaving scars across its skyline. He closed his eyes, letting the storm swallow him in silence. In that final moment, Alex vanished, not dead, not alive, just gone, leaving only a whisper of fire in the dark.